The Senate expects to begin voting this morning on amendments to its sweeping tax reform bill. A new congressional report finds the Republican plan would add $1 trillion to the budget deficit. That news led to a standoff on the Senate floor yesterday. A key part of the plan is cutting the corporate tax rate from 35% to 20%. Supporters say that would create substantial economic and job growth, but not everybody buys that argument. Bloomberg Businessweek editor Megan Murphy is with us with more on this. Megan, I was only half kidding when I said a lot of screaming going on.
Well, when you get your math $1 trillion wrong, it's going to lead to some consternation.
And many Republicans are saying, ignore that report, the math is wrong. But this was a bill that was expected to be deficit neutral, was supposed to help the middle class. Who does this really help the most?
There's no question that this bill in its present form in both the Senate and the House is a massive transfer to the wealthy. You can look through any of its provisions in terms of taking the corporate rate down, in terms of taking the individual rate down and pass-through rate down. We could go on and on. The problem they face now is on two fronts. One is on a practical level, as we've discussed. Their own projections, independent projections, show that it's not going to be able to pay for itself. In fact, it's $1 trillion short over the next 10 years. And only taking GDP up projected 0.8% over the next 10 years. That's not nearly enough to pay for the bill. On a theoretical level, they face the problem that so many economists just don't believe that what we call trickle-down economics, that cutting the top rate of tax for corporations, for individuals, does enough to stimulate economic growth. And in fact, doesn't address the central conundrum in America, which is that wages just aren't rising among middle class and working class families fast enough.
So a major selling point for supporters of the plan is the reduction of that corporate tax rate. Also, CEOs from Pfizer and Coca-Cola say that they would pump those returns, those gains, to shareholders. The economy is doing well. What can the economy stand to benefit from that?
Well, this is the whole argument, is will companies use that money that they're getting back to pump into investment and expand job growth, invest in companies, invest in manufacturing. But the problem is the evidence shows that that actually doesn't happen. What it shows is that we see debt paid down, share buybacks, and we should mention more money going to line top executive pockets in the terms of more incentives. In fact, what we've seen over the last several decades, not just in America, but in other countries, is it's boosting the lowest people on the rungs of society that actually stimulate faster economic growth. This bill, if you make under $30,000, you're actually going to be paying more in taxes. So the people who earn the least in this country are going to be paying more. The people who make the most are going to be paying a lot less.
So if it passes the way they expect it to, the Republicans today, is this really the victory that they are predicting it will be?
You know, Republicans feel like they need to get this done. They don't have a lot of legislative accomplishments to show, as we know. The problem is this risks being a real albatross for them. It is deeply unpopular, and it doesn't fit into the dynamic that we face now in terms of populism. People are feeling left out of this recovery. They're feeling like their wages aren't increasing fast enough and that their opportunity is decreasing. I'm not sure this bill addresses those central questions. I think there's a big risk the Republicans look back on this and think they really had a misstep, if indeed it does pass.
So you could win the battle and lose the war, you're saying?
That's for sure, and I think Obama knows exactly how that happened with his own health care plan.
Exactly right.
Megan Murphy, good to see you.
Thank you, guys.